My next guest on the I Wish a Virgin Media podcast is Ita Langton. Ita Langton is Head of Technology and Transformation at Deloitte Ireland and has a background advising clients and leading cloud and engineering engagements. Ita has worked with national and local governments in Ireland and has advised a broad range of public sector organisations in change and transformation. Ita, thank you so much for sitting down with me this morning.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Ita, what inspired you to pursue a career in STEM and how has that journey led you to your current career in Deloitte?
Yeah, so when I was, and it's a bit of a goosebump moment being here at I Wish today and taking you back to your days in secondary school. So when I was in secondary school, I gravitated towards maths and science subjects. I loved the being faced with a problem, having to work out a solution and then having that sense of achievement when the experiment went well or the maths solution was worked out. So when I got to fifth year, I started to think about, well, what courses could I do that would allow me kind of follow that interest and, that kind of strength I had in subjects. And I was fortunate that my father was an engineer.
Okay.
And as much as, I say now he inspired me in that career, at the time I probably resisted his advice.
like we do.
His advice. But he introduced me to one of his colleagues who was a female engineer. And I talked to her. She brought me to some events like I Wish, but now not at the scale of I Wish. And it really inspired me to follow that path. And it was tough at the time because I was one of the only girls in my all-girls school who was going to pursue a degree in engineering.
Okay.
So I do look back and think, gosh, I had the backing of my parents, the belief of my parents to follow that path. And that's kind of led me to where I am today.
Ita, Deloitte is known for its innovation. How do you see technology shaping the future of industries and what role do women in STEM play in that transformation?
Yeah, so I mean, in today's world and, people talk about the complexity we face and the challenges we face with sustainability, geopolitical crisis, and technology is a super powerful enabler to allow us live better lives, more sustainable lives, connect more with people. But it's an enabler, and we have to start from a human-centered perspective on what we want technology to enable. So I think that is really important. To your question on, what role females can play, I mean, and I've seen this in my career, the most diverse teams in terms of gender, in terms of background, in terms of ethnicity, etc., the most diverse teams have the most creative discussions, lead to the better outcomes. So the more diversity we can get in to those complex challenges we're trying to face, that we're trying to use technology to advance or support, the better outcomes we'll have for people.
And that's what we want.
That's what we want.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
love that. What are some, in your opinion, of the biggest challenges that young women face when entering STEM fields?
Yeah, and I probably go back to my own experience. Role models, the lack of role models was a big, issue for me, or kind of it put a lot of doubt in my mind. So as I mentioned, when I was in secondary school, I was one of the only students going off to do engineering. So you find yourself going, is it okay that I go do this?
Yes.
Like, why is everyone
else
not doing it?
Yeah. Is there something I don't know?
Is there something I haven't missed a memo? And, I think back to that connection my dad, made for me with that fellow engineer. So I think role models is one of the big challenges. So events like today, getting so many inspiring women on a stage at all levels of their careers and in such diverse set of industries, really kind of puts that belief in female students that they can follow a path. And, my experience has been that, I studied electronic engineering in UCD, a fantastic career, and it put me on the path where I am today. But it's not what I do today, electronic engineering.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think showcasing the different career paths you can have by studying a career in STEM, really supports. So for me, it's that role model. It's, embedding that belief and then supporting students as they go through their CAO selection process, as they go through third level, because unfortunately today, like it's still not equal when you sit in a classroom in a lot of the university subjects. So again, you need that reinforcement that you're in the right place.
Yes.
You will,
And you're perfectly at home here.
You're perfectly at home
Yes.
if it's what you want to do and what your passion. So it's kind of to quash those limiting beliefs that you might have.
And it's usually just within ourselves, isn't it?
100%, yeah.
Speaking of role models, you are head of technology and transformation at Deloitte Ireland. Can you share with listeners how the I Wish Deloitte mentorship programme is making a difference to young girls today?
Yeah, so the mentorship program we have is where we partner with students with a mentor, and back to what I just said, actually support them as they work through their studies, support them in, understanding all of the careers that are out, in Ireland and in the world that they could apply to, support them get internships, so get your first step on that career ladder, but also share personal stories of, and back to that belief and showcasing role models who are, maybe 10, 15 years ahead of those students.
Yeah.
So it's really important. Like at Deloitte, we want to have we do have a very diverse workforce. Us being involved in I Wish is supporting that pipeline of talent coming in to STEM and coming into the workforce, which is really important to all of our futures.
It's amazing, the mentorship programme. It really does make a difference. It's been an absolute pleasure to sit down with you and talk to you, Ita. Thank you so much for sharing your journey.
Thank you.
My next guest on the I Wish Virgin Media podcast is Zoë Hyde. Zoë Hyde is an Irish Olympian from Paris 2024 and Deloitte Brand Ambassador. While working for Deloitte as an audit associate, she joined the Irish rowing team and went on to win a bronze medal at the World Rowing Championships in 2022 and represent Ireland in the Olympics for rowing in Paris 2024. Zoë, it's an absolute pleasure to have you sit down with me today. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Not at all. Zoë, you started rowing when you were 13 in Killorgan, County Kerry.
I did.
What drew you to the sport and how did your early experiences shape your rowing career?
Yeah, I had tried every sport under the sun. I was
No way!
Yeah, I was in basketball, like anything you could think of, I probably tried.
Yeah.
Couldn't do any of them. And then I was brought down to rowing club. My dad brought me down because it was big in our town and it just stuck. I think there was just so much variety. I know you see us like rowing in a boat and that's probably what people think we do only, but like we do like a lot of land training, like cross training. Like I was running, I was cycling, I was like on a rowing machine, I was doing weights, I was in a boat, I was with my friends. So so that's what drew me in initially.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think when I was younger, I was very hard on myself. I wanted to be the best all the time and I wanted to win everything. And as I got older, I kind of had to like take a step back and stop focusing on like being the best every day and try and do my best every day.
Yes.
And then once I started doing that, I saw my performance just like go through the roof then. So.
Oh, I love that. That's advice we all need to take on board,
100%,
actually.
yeah. I think we're too hard on ourselves sometimes. So I kind of had to like take a bit of a break for myself and then, yeah.
As an Olympian, you've achieved what many only dream of. What's a day in your life during intense training periods?
Busy.
Yeah,
Very busy, yeah. I suppose in the height of training, like we're getting up at like 6 o'clock in the morning, breakfast, then heading down to the rowing centre, or else we might be on camp. We're doing like 2 to 3 hour sessions like in the morning. Sometimes we'll have like another weight session that day and then we're usually doing like another rowing session that evening. So it's like 6 hours like a day minimum. And then we have to eat so much around it. It's nearly like a chore, like minimum like 4,000 like calories just to like maintain, like not even like go above it. So yeah, it's like it's literally training, eating, sleeping and repeating.
Oh my
in the height
God.
of training, like when it's really busy.
Yeah. And what's one moment on or off the water, I suppose, that has stood out as a highlight in your athletic career so far?
I think a big moment, I know we were talking about challenges earlier, but there was another challenge as well, was qualifying the boat for Paris. So we qualified the boat at the World Championships the year before, so in 2023. And I think it was like 6 or 7 weeks before we were going to qualify. I didn't have a partner. My previous partner had like sustained an injury, so I was like rowing by myself, and I didn't think there would be someone to row the boat with. But then luckily my partner Alison Bergen, who was an under 23, she joined me, and we only had 4 weeks together to get to qualifying, and we were like had the headstand and everything. And then we went out to the regatta, and while we were over there, unfortunately there was like a mass bug, like a vomiting bug, spread amongst the group.
Oh no!
And poor Alison got hit really hard by it, and we were only a couple of days till racing, and I was like, oh, we're not going to make it on the water.
No.
Yeah.
On the cusp again.
Literally again. It just keeps happening to me.
Yeah.
And bless her, she tried hard and she pulled through, and then eventually we actually did really well that regatta. We won our heat, we qualified the boat, no problem, and then we came fourth overall. So like through all of the hardship and everything, we like performed out of our skin. So it's something I'm really proud of to this day.
Wow, and so you should be. Oh my God.
Yeah. More credit to Alison than me, to be honest.
No, I'm sure it was a team effort.
Yeah.
Irish celebrates pursuing STEM careers. How did you first develop an interest in STEM, and how do you balance it with your life as an athlete?
Yeah, absolutely. I loved doing like maths and accounting when I was younger, because there was just like a real logic to it for some reason, and I think it really helped me in rowing, because we used to be like figuring out how to like train with numbers, like you're always aiming for numbers on like the rowing machines and stuff, or even like the physics of the boat, understanding that more through school. So I felt like both really linked up, and I always had an interest in it. And then I did my undergraduate degree in UL in international business, and I went on to do a master's in accounting in UCC, and then I entered the graduate program in Deloitte, and they've been like such an amazing company to me, that they've supported me like through my whole sporting journey. But yeah, so I think both lended to each other so well, because I found when I was rowing that it would give me the break from work, and I had such a clear head going into it, and then when I was at work I wasn't worrying about like what training I was going to have to do that evening or like that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, so you had a kind of healthy balance.
100%, yeah, I think they both balanced out for me.
You have broken boundaries in sports and science. What's your advice to teenage girls who may feel intimidated about stepping into more male-dominated fields?
100%. I think I didn't have a lot of confidence when I was younger. I was definitely more of an introvert, and it's only as I got older and really developed in like rowing and the working world, I've developed confidence and seen that like I can do anything that like a man can do, if not better.
Yes.
So literally girl power here.
Yes, I love it.
Literally, yes. I think honestly self-confidence will get you so far, and just believe in yourself. That's like, you have to back yourself in order to do something. So I think
I love that.
One.
Yeah. And if you could go back in time and give 16-year-old Zoe a piece of advice, what would it be?
I think it would be patience. I wanted the world when I was 16. I wanted to be winning every race. I wanted to be rowing full time. I wanted to be at the top of my career. So I wanted it all done in like an instant. And looking back, having patience, and I think good things tend to come over time when you keep putting in the work and the hours. So that would be my thing. Just have patience and it will all come.
I love that. I think we can all do with a little bit more of that.
Yeah.
It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you.
Thanks
Thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me. Thank you. My next guest on the I Wish Virgin Media podcast is Gráinne Power, Senior Director and Global Programme Operations Lead for Haematology Oncology at Regeneron. Gráinne has 30 years' experience in the pharmaceutical industry, gained from clinical research roles with major companies. Gráinne started working in clinical research in 1995 with ICON, where she discovered she loved every aspect of clinical trials. Gráinne currently manages a large programme of global blood cancer trials and manages a large staff of 30 people. Gráinne, you are so welcome. It's a pleasure to sit down with you this morning.
Thank you, Amy Jane. I'm absolutely delighted to be here. It's a very exciting event.
It is, isn't it? You can feel the atmosphere now this morning. Everything's getting ready to kick off. Gráinne, can you share a little bit with us about your journey? What inspired you to pursue a career in STEM?
Sure, this is slightly long-winded, but there was one incident, I suppose, that stood out to me, first of all, as a child. I remember walking home with a neighbour's daughter from school one day, and she was kind of off beam a little bit, and she was slurring her words. And I remember thinking, there's something wrong with her. So then the next day I met with her, the next 2 days, and I carried her school bag home. And on the third day I said to my mum, there's something seriously wrong with her. I don't know what it is. It's almost like she's on drugs.
Oh my God.
And I'm worried about her. My mum used to be a nurse, so straight away she went down to talk to this girl's dad. Her mother had actually died a year or two prior.
Oh.
So the father said, look, my daughter's asleep. I don't want to disturb her. And my mum said, look, humour me. I'm not an interfering neighbour. I think there's something seriously wrong with your daughter. And anyway, he went upstairs and she was in a coma. And after that, she was diagnosed with diabetes type 1. And thankfully, she survived. But had I not spoken to my mother, had she not gone to meet down to the house to meet with him, that lady would not be alive today. And I think that was my first indication that, you know, intervening at the right time or speaking up at the right time can make a massive difference in somebody's life.
And Grainne, you've had an amazing career with Regeneron. What has been one of the most exciting or rewarding points or peaks that stand out for you from your career?
Sure. Well, the first indication I got to work on at Regeneron was for cancer, skin cancer, cutaneous squamous cell carcinoma. And again, many of these patients would have, firstly, there was no drug therapies available for cutaneous squamous cell carcinoma.
Okay.
At that stage, there was some for melanoma, but none for this indication. And these patients, again, would have been given a matter of months to live. They would have exhausted radiotherapy or surgery, and they weren't eligible for those things anymore. And we started a first-in-human study treating those patients with skin cancer, and we're seeing really good response rates. So then we went into phase 2. Normally there's 3 phases before you get a drug approved, but in cancer it's unethical to run a phase 3 trial if there's no standard of care treatments, because you can't give cancer patients placebo, because all you're going to do is watch their cancer progress.
Okay.
So we ran a phase 2 trial and we were able to get marketing authorization on that basis. And some of the patients were so happy with their results.
Yeah.
Like there was one patient who was a teacher and he asked to come in and talk to us at Regeneron and tell us what it meant to him.
Yeah.
And he told us that his sons were just so impressed. They thought they were going to say goodbye to their father. Next thing, his cancer's gone.
Stop.
And both of his sons opted then to study medicine with a view to kind of working in I think, drug therapies.
Wow.
So, again, it was just fantastic to see, you know, to stabilise people's disease. And for some patients, their cancer completely disappeared and they're still alive without their cancer returning.
Oh my God,
again,
that is so
I got
powerful.
the same heroin fix that I got from when I was with Icon.
Oh, wow. Oh, my God. And they both the sons went on to do medicine?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
I love that. So the IWish 2024 survey last year report highlighted that girls want to better understand STEM if they're to pursue STEM careers. Can you share how your work at Regeneron makes a difference and why STEM is such an exciting career to pursue?
Yeah, I mean, when I was in school, the only people that our school actually got in to speak to us was about secretarial courses. And I remember feeling really incensed going, oh God, I've got so much more to offer the world. When I started working in clinical research, I was really pleasantly surprised to find that about 80% of people who work in clinical research tend to be female and about 20% male.
Okay.
At Regeneron, the 2 vice presidents working in clinical trial, 3 actually in clinical trial management, are all female. And their boss, who's a senior vice president, is also female. So I felt that I could have a career with a very well-defined career ladder.
Good, okay.
And I could choose to climb whatever rung I decided to climb. Or I could decide for personal reasons that I wanted to stop at a particular level, you know, if I had children to mind and things like that. So I could progress my career at the pace that suited me and that balanced well with my work-life balance. But
And you could see it being done as well in front of you. And Grainne, all I can say is well done for your work. Thank you so much for sitting down to talk to me. And I have no doubt you'll continue to grow in your beautiful career. Thank you so much, Gráinne Power.
thank you very much, Amy, for having me.